Hello, everyone, and welcome into another episode of VoiceOverVoices.biz. Thanks so much for tuning in. We interview voiceover artists from all over the world that are just getting started, maybe have been in for a little while, and we want to show you their journey, where they are right now in that journey, how they're growing, and what it is that they're doing to start, build, and grow their voiceover business. Special guest today is Eddie here with me on camera. How you doing, Eddie? Thanks for being here with me today.
Doing good. How you doing, Earl?
I'm doing absolutely amazing. Well, Eddie, let's start here. What even got you involved in this whole thing in VO, and how long have you been in?
So I've always kind of had a little interest in it. It's just always kind of just been something I've been interested in, I guess we'll say. The biggest influence I think I've had was when I figured out Mark Hamill played the Joker in the 90s. Kind of blew my mind. I was just like, wait a minute, there's something here. So kind of researched it over the years, but always just been too busy with work and life to really think about pursuing it. But with everything that happened last year, and I actually got into a motorcycle accident, so it kind
Oh
of put some
man.
extra. Oh, I believe me, I'm fine.
Okay.
By the grace of God, I'm good. I'm still riding. I'm okay. But it did
Awesome.
put some extra time on my hands, and I kind of started doing some more research and decided to take the dive. I went and I bought a AT 2535 and the Focusrite Scarlett Solo,
Mm-hmm.
and I've only had it about a week, so I'm fresh. I'm fresh. I've kind of just been messing with it, messing with Audacity, just getting my feet wet. But I'm ready to dive in.
Okay, awesome. Well, what made you make that selection of that microphone and that interface that you're using? How did you come about deciding on those?
It just seemed pretty popular. Like I said, I did a lot of extensive research over the past year of kind of what people were using, what was a good start, kind of what was in my budget. I wasn't looking into getting anything too crazy, but it seemed like something that was reliable and a lot of people kind of started out with, and even still use.
Awesome. Well, you've basically just been in for what, a couple of weeks now. After getting your gear, what's your focus on right now? It's like, what are you diving into just in regards to, you know, how are you finding Audacity to use, and how deep have you dived into that?
Um, so I'm still on the surface, but it seems pretty easy to use. I kind of wish there was a little more adjustments and tweaks and stuff like that. Kind of like the system you use, Adobe, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of watched a lot. I've been watching a lot of your videos,
Okay.
and it seems like you have a little more freedom in what you can do. But I kind of definitely want to get a grasp on what everything does, what the compressor does, what do you do when you normalize it, what does that do? I kind of want to get that grasp before I start paying for a service, I guess we'll say. um,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, definitely want to get knowledgeable before I start paying to play, I guess they say.
Well, yeah, kind of some of the advice that I give sometime is, just dive in. It's like, if this is something that you definitely want to do,
Mhm.
there's no harm in investing in what it is that you want with that. You've got a great mic already in
Yeah,
the Audio Technica, and you're using the Focusrite Solo. That's just, I love that piece of gear as
yeah.
far as an interface goes. But what do you think the main challenge is? The main challenge is that you're facing right now in this whole journey. What's the major issue you have?
So I just don't know what to record as far as a DIY demo. Like you
Hmm.
can record and read everything under the sun. you know, it's just I'm
Yep.
trying to find where my voice would fit. Where I kind of think I would like to sit in the industry.
Hmm.
I believe you had a guest on your last guest, at least was on your YouTube video. She kind of had the same gear I did. She
Hmm.
was on Voices, I believe, and she landed a video game gig.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
Yeah.
wow, you just started, a month or two ago, and she's
Yeah. That
already
was
landed. I'm
Tia.
like, wow, Tia,
Yeah.
yeah, there we go. That's
Yeah.
the name.
That was Tia.
I was just like, wow, that sounds like a dream come true. I have the same gear. I can definitely do it as well. So that's kind of
Hmm.
where I'm starting. Like, after I seen that video, I was like, all right, let's let's get in contact. Let's make this happen.
Yeah, I mean, one of the major hiccups I think most people have, I mean, it's one thing to buy the gear, but then it's a whole other thing to learn to use the gear,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Especially when you're talking about, your DAW, the software that you're using to record with. That is probably the biggest hurdle that people
Hmm.
have, but it's also the thing that people don't dive into. And what I
Yeah.
mean by that, it's like, okay, you've got the DAW. You really don't know how to use it yet. But
Yeah.
now you're over here watching YouTube videos on how to get work. You're watching YouTube videos on how to set up your website. You're watching YouTube videos on how to set up a profile on Fiverr. You don't even know how to use
Yeah.
your freaking DAW yet. Let's focus, right? Let's
Exactly.
put on some blinders here and let's do this.
Exactly.
And, I've been telling people, I think in one of my recent YouTube videos, look, um, take 30 days and learn your DAW. Put blinders on, just learn it.
Yeah.
It's like you want to make your DIY demo and things of that nature, but you can't do that until you learn your DAW.
Yeah.
It's not going to
See,
happen.
and I
So
think
yeah, so
no,
that's where the focus needs to be, right? It's like it's right there, with that, because I know we can start going down rabbit holes watching YouTube videos, right?
oh yeah. I spent
we
all last year doing it.
yeah, I mean, I did the same thing initially. You go down all these rabbit holes, and then sometimes it just confuses the crap out of you. When you're trying to do that. What are you thinking? Like your aspiration would be to like what type of genre do you think you'd like to move into?
Definitely like anime, cartoons, video games. It's
Hmm.
what I spend most of my time doing.
Okay.
um, but it kind of helped out because I actually just finished your free course.
Mm.
Um, that
Oh, you
yeah,
finished.
and it
Oh,
kind of
you took the free course. Okay.
yeah, I just finished it, so it definitely could put a lot of that stuff in perspective. As far as like you were saying, a website, getting profiles on Voices and Fiverr and all that. It kind
Hmm.
of just kind of put blinders onto all that, and I was like, okay, I need to focus on my DAW. I need to focus on my recording space because without those
Hmm.
two, nothing's really gonna happen.
Exactly.
So yeah, so I just finished that I think yesterday or the day before. So it
Okay.
definitely was very enlightening and educational as far as where I kind of need to go. Because at first I was just spinning around in circles, like, what do I do? I can record
Wow.
100 commercials. I can record, dialogue, but where does it all put together? And you kind of put that
Yeah.
in perspective for me with that class, with that course.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, and everyone that if you want to take that course, it's a free course that we have. It's just at www.freevocourse.com. Freevocourse.com. Go grab it. I think over 300 people, almost 400 people have gone through that course.
Yeah,
So many different
it's
comments
great,
that are there. It's crazy with that, but it
great,
was
great.
so I'm glad you enjoyed that, and it kind of gave you some perspective on things. Well, Eddie, I mean, the last question I always ask people is like, if there's something you could ask me about VO, what would that be, and how can I help?
Let me see. I have a few questions here. I guess how would you find a good coach for you? And kind of with things how they have changed, would you recommend doing something like this with the coach, virtual, or maybe a personal coach where there's more, it's more personal. They can actually hear you in the room.
With technology today, coronavirus taught us a lot of things, right? We can do a lot of
Oh
things
yeah,
virtually.
oh
All of my coaching is done virtually. It's very rare. I mean, I used to do some face to face maybe 3, 4 years ago, but
yeah.
my clients are all over the place. So virtual is fine. I think the thing about finding a coach is you want to find a specific one that does a specific thing. Like, for
Yeah,
instance, you may need a vocal coach. I'm not that guy, right? You
yeah,
may need a guy to go in depth with you and teach you how to use things about the specific DAW that you're using, right? You may
mhm,
need to find a coach that is all in on sales and marketing, which is more so my forte. It's like, but you want to find a coach that's doing the thing that you need to learn. I don't suggest an overall coach. I don't
okay,
because no one can teach you everything about everything. But
yeah,
there are that you want to find that guy or girl, lady that is teaching something that is very, very specific. Now, the specific thing that I've chosen to go all in on is just teaching people one thing: how to start, build, and grow. It's the beginning voice actor. These are the steps. This is how you should do it. And so I've kind of made my name on that.
Yeah.
Because when you start trying to focus on too much, I'm not an expert at everything. Yes, I
Yeah.
can show you how to market. I can show you how to do Fiverr. I can show you how to do these, but I decided to focus on just one thing in particular, which is the beginning voiceover artist and just helping them start. Because that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
Is just to start. Like you said,
Oh, yeah.
it's like you said with the free course, it gave you direction. That's what it's meant for. It's just to give you the framework and the direction and get you off of the fence and say, okay, dive in. And this is how you do it, and these are the steps. So I hope that answers that particular question that you had for that.
Yeah, yeah, and I still have a little bit of time before I think that I think I'm gonna do your master class as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of learn my DAW and all the other stuff. Just kind of try to get ahead of the pack, get all that knowledge you've put out there.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of going through it myself, why don't I just learn it from someone who's already gone through it?
Well, I mean, the master
So,
class is, I'm sure you've probably looked at it. I mean, the master class that I have, I meet with all the VOs that are in that every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern. And we talk about the specific, it's not like, because everybody's in different phases in their career, right? Some
yeah,
have been in for 2 weeks, like you. Some have been in for a year or more.
yeah,
And it's like some people need help with their DAW. Some people need help with their script interpretation. So we're able to dive in on a very specific thing with you to be
yeah,
able to quickly master that and move on to the next thing that's holding you back. So,
yeah,
and that's only $47 a month that we have for that course. But I
yeah.
mean, which is crazy. I have people saying you're stupid for doing it that cheap, but it's like,
Hey, well, I'm taking advantage of you before you wise up.
that's funny, man. But did you have any other questions that you wanted me to tackle
Uh,
for you?
um, I guess the one I kind of brought up when we first got on is a headphone. I'm not currently using any kind of headphone setup with my interface. Is that something you recommend? Is that something you kind of get by while using, computer speakers, kind of listen
No,
back on
not at all.
recordings?
The computer speakers do not do it justice. You want to have, we call them cans. You want to have
Yeah,
headphones on, and because you can hear nuances that you're not going to hear from your computer speaker. It's just not going to
yeah,
happen. You're going to hear things because it's right up on here.
yeah.
Right on
Oh,
the
I'm
dome there
okay.
with that.
I guess what would you recommend for a good, starter set of cans?
I mean, anywhere between 50 to $100,
Okay.
is fine. I mean, I'm using the Sennheiser. You can probably see it right there, HD
Yeah.
280 Pro. Um, and I've had these for 5 years.
Okay.
And I still use them. Um, but yeah, they're going to help out a lot in picking up the nuances of your voice and things of that nature, background noise. You can detect and hear little things that you wouldn't hear from your computer speaker.
Yeah, and that's what I feel like I'm kind of missing. That's kind of why I'm like, all right, that's definitely one of my questions I needed to ask you because I feel like I am missing those nuances. I mean, it sounds great coming out of my speaker, but I'm sure through a good set of, headphones, it's
Yes.
it's probably not the greatest. But
Yes.
okay.
Absolutely. It's kind of like listening to AM and FM, right? It's kind of like that dynamic
Exactly. Yeah.
with
So,
that. Well, man, Eddie, I definitely appreciate you being on here with me today. This has been great. I'm sure that a lot of VOs out there are going to appreciate your insightfulness as well as your transparency and where it is that you are and what it is that you're looking to do. But I definitely appreciate your time. Thank you for being here with me today.
all right, right on. Thank you.
All right, folks, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of voiceovervoices.biz. Make sure you check out the website. On that website also, you can schedule your on-camera interview with me just like you saw Eddie do. Go ahead to the website voiceovervoices.biz, listen to all the great interviews that are there, and schedule your interview with me as well. Until next time, you take care.